feels like shrooms emotionally regulate us so that things don't bring us down so deep so fast. And we're able to bounce back, especially in a trip. It feels like a recalibration. And the week after, I'll feel amazing.
Yeah, a friend of mine, Eric Toss, he owns a company called Shine On. They do hundreds of millions. He said that it kind of like refreshes your brain.
Mm-hmm.
There's all this gunk, right? It's kind of like a laundry machine. You put your dirty clothes in.
You add the psilocybin.
Yeah, the psilocybin, and it cleans up your dirty clothes. That's kind of like how it is, right? And I feel like that's the same way. And this was during the time I was on, like I was in the middle of it. And he was telling me this, and I was like, well, that makes sense. And he's like, I think it makes you smarter. And I think it does. Because obviously when you look at the diagram of a brain, a regular brain is connected in many different ways. But when on psilocybin, your brain is connected, like there's more connections. There's connections that you've never thought about. There's things that everyone's like shaking hands with each other in your brain. That's kind of like how I feel. There's new connections in there that I've never thought about. And it's invigorating. It feels great. It feels like, it's like an entrepreneur that like for me, my brain is like my tool. It's like my weapon of choice, right? And it's kind of like it just hyper drove my brain into like a new advanced technology.
Has it made you more spiritual?
I would say more connected.
More connected
to the world. Because what I did notice my first trip was that I felt like everyone was connected. We're all like, in a way, like we could even be like telekinetically connected somehow. Like our brains and like we can think the same. Like the world moves in the same direction. There was this study done where they took a picture of and they took a group of people and they said, okay, see how many faces you can see in this picture. And the first group said, oh, I see like 10 or something like that. And then you can Google it. It's this crazy study. And then they took that picture, they brought it to like different parts of the world. And first they showed it on TV in the UK. And they were like, okay, these are all the faces, right? And then just to show it. And then the other side of the world, they had another group of people during the time that the airing was shown. And they asked these guys, okay, how many faces can you see? They were able to see more faces because all the faces were now revealed in the other side of the world, in the UK. So can you imagine that? Like, because it was like Australia. From Australia, they only a certain set of group of people were able to see certain faces, but now they're able to see more on a different part of the world as it was being revealed on another side of the world. So I feel like, I don't know, I feel like there's some sort of like connection to all of us in the world. And I feel like, even nature and earth, there's like a connection to that as well, that shrooms has opened my eyes to.
It feels like we're maybe in that experiment. It's like they upload their data to the consciousness, the global consciousness.
Right.
And so the people in Australia can receive that knowledge intuitively.
Right. Somehow, something like that.
It's definitely, shrooms have definitely made me think that we are all connected, and something about our consciousness, there's not really any division. And a lot of spiritual texts talk about this too, where even there's no division between the table and you, the chair you're sitting on, that at some macro level, it's actually all one consciousness. And we're just projecting out and living in this 3D hologram for our own entertainment.
Right. I mean, I've been looking into that stuff too. Like, are we living in a hologram? Are we living in a virtual reality?
What do you think? What do you think is the true nature of reality?
Well, I really don't know. And I want to know. I want to find out. Ever since I was little, I've always been a explorer. I've always wanted to know how the world works. I've always wanted to know aliens and all this stuff. I'm always so curious about it. I've always wanted to know, like, all these crazy paranormal stories and ghosts and things like that. There's so much to this world that we just don't know. But I would love to explore it. I'm an explorer. And so what shrooms has opened up for me is the consciousness of like being interconnected. Everything is a living, breathing thing. Even the earth is like a breathing, living, breathing thing that we need to take care of.